Welcome to the Money Answer Show with host Jordan Goodman. Whether you are starting out, deep into your retirement, or somewhere in between, the Money Answer Show has the know-how to help you. Now here's your host, Jordan Goodman.
Welcome to the Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay, the famous Harvey Mackay, who's written 7 New York Times best-selling books. He's an inspirational author, and we're going to talk about all kinds of different topics. His website is harveymackay.com. Welcome to the Money Answer Show, Harvey.
Jordan, I've been looking forward to this. Thank you very much. Really excited.
People have heard about you, but just maybe not everybody in the world has. Just give them a brief introduction to your career getting you to this point.
Well, I'll be very, very succinct then, all right? See if we can cover this in 60 seconds or less. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, still have trouble spelling the word. That's exactly what I wanted to be, so I started a paper printing envelope manufacturing company, still have it today, and it's thriving. Got 100 competitors. We've been 1, 2, 3 for the last 50 years. Very proud of that, without question. My father headed the Associated Press 35 years, was a writer, and I started getting writing years ago, wrote a book called Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, sold 5 million copies all over the world, 80 different countries, 52 languages, named by the New York Times as one of the top 15 books in the last 100 years, which, of course, I'm very proud of. And that book sold 5 million books. I then became a national syndicated columnist. I currently still write 25 years in a row to 10 million newspapers, about 100 cities in the United States. And luckily, I've been able to give a speech once a week, keynote, the last 30 years in those 80 countries. And very proud of that. So that's what I am. I'm a speaker and a writer and a businessman, and very proud of it. So don't count the years, make the years count. Also said I do 59 years ago, and I've got 11 grandchildren and 3 children. So I don't know if that's less than 70 seconds, but I tried.
That was very good, Harvey. So let's talk about the current situation and how you're dealing with it and how you think leaders should be dealing with it. We've got the economy kind of shut down because of the coronavirus. People's customers have gone away. Their revenues have gone away. They've had to lay off employees. So both at the business level and the government level, how should leaders get people through this very unexpected and tumultuous time?
Well, I have 500 people at my company. That, again, I started a long time ago, 59 years ago. And so I can tell you what we're doing and what I've told the people. And, of course, obviously I know them quite well. That's Minneapolis, Minnesota. We also sell and approximately distribute in about 20 different countries. We make 25 million envelopes a day. That means you have to sell, Jordan, 25 million envelopes every day. And so we're going uphill into the wind. My dad taught me this. This is for every listener. And they should write it down, and they should put it under their pillow. And that is as follows. My father taught me he could take any amount of pain, P-A-I-N, as long as he knew it was going to end. Repeat. He could take any amount of pain as long as he knew it was going to end. This isn't going to last years. This isn't going to last for a year. This will be over with sometime. Don't know when, but it'll be many months approximately. So it's going to end. I tell my people, tough times don't last. I wrote this yesterday to them. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so being a leader, you have to know about these different concepts. You want them to practice the right concepts. Let me give you an example that's beyond comprehension. Harvard University did a study, 75 years. 75 years study. They just completed it a year ago. 700 people in the study. They worked with them. They talked to them every year. They tested them every year. What was the bottom line? The bottom line is if you want to be happy, if you want a lot of agility, if you want to be able to handle any kinds of situations, and here's the real key of the study, longevity and being happy, it's almost down to one paragraph. Hard to believe, but here it is, okay? If you want to stay away from heart disease, if you want to stay away from cancer, you want to stay away from all the different diseases there are out there, Parkinson's, I can name them all. Listen to this. You have to have deep, down, burning, sincere desire to have friends, long-term friends, okay, where you want to go deep with them. You want to be all in. You want to be difference between 100% all in and 99% all in is 100%. If you have those kinds of relationships, isn't that amazing? Your probability to live longer and avoid those different diseases go dramatically up.
Now, you talk about in the first chapter of your book, adversity being your best friend. Well, we have a lot of adversity right now, so how can people make the current adversity their best friend?
Well, every problem, of course, has a silver lining. That is for sure. The first thing you have to know is that everyone, there isn't a person, the 7.2 billion people, persons on the planets, okay, on the planet, and what are we talking about? Everybody has problems, big problems. Can't go through life without them. And when you know where they're coming, okay, and they are coming, you don't know when, okay, then the chances you're going to solve those problems are great. I do it. My secret, definition of a secret is when one person knows. But when I do it, I've had a kitchen cabinet all my life. And, of course, it changes. Boy, there's nothing like a board of directors or a kitchen cabinet. You don't have to be in business to have a board of directors. I call it kitchen cabinet. They come from all walks of life, and they're all ages. And when I've got a problem, and I've had plenty, all of a sudden they struck my company years ago for 8 weeks. Well, that was do or die. Nice to have 6, 7, 8 different opinions. Avoided cancer. Well, I had it, but had some plenty big time problems with cancer, as did my wife. And again, nothing like having a sounding board when you have adversity everywhere. Of course, you have to keep busy. Of course, you have to have that network. If I could just give you one example of how important that network is, I'd love to do it, but if you want to go on, that's fine too.
Yep.
Well, this is kind of the gist of my new book out there. You haven't hit your peak yet. And I love my subtitle, of course, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. And so what I learned was as follows from my father, and I always mention him again, as follows. He got a hold of me at age 18. Harvey, every person you meet the rest of your life goes in the Rolodex file, obviously a computer today. A little bit about him on the back of the card, and then here's the real key. Find a creative, underline creative way to keep in touch. And that's what I've been doing. And the best example I can give you that changed my entire life is when I had that manuscript, Swim with the Sharks, without being eaten alive, I went to one of the 5, 6 best, William Morrow and Company was their name, best publishers in the world at the time. And I wanted to get published. Summit meeting after 3 earlier meetings, CEO, President, VP National Sales. In those years, many years ago, when I wrote the book 30 years ago, and I've written one every other 3 years now since then, but the rule of the bookstores, thousands of bookstores, they'd only print 10,000 hardcover books if you were a first-time unknown author. Of course, I've seen all the books you've read one of them, and congratulations, salute. You're called brilliant career. But as you know, if you're unknown first time, Jordan, they'll only print 10,000. So I walked in there, and I'd say 40 minutes into the meeting, I asked for the order. Now, remember, I'm a first-time unknown author in the flyover state of Minnesota. Bingo, asked for the order after 40 minutes. I would like you to sincerely consider printing 100,000 hardcover copies, Swim with the Sharks. We are on the 37th floor. They told me to jump. I brought into the boardroom and the table, 2 humongous briefcases, put them up on the boardroom table, took out 2 huge Rolodex files, 6,500 names since my father got a hold of me, age 18. Started to go through them, Pillsbury, General Mills, 3M, Honeywell. I said, they all do business with us. We're a supplier. Maybe they'll read the book. Maybe they'll pass it along. Took out my second Rolodex file. Do business in, at the time was 5 countries. France, Germany, Spain. I said, maybe they'll read the book. Maybe they'll pass it along. Maybe it'll be an international bestseller. 3 meetings. Three meetings later, 3 weeks later, they published 100,000 hardcover copies, Swim with the Sharks. Did I know when I was 18, I'd be writing a book. Do any of our listeners out there know where they're going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? Where their network's going to take them? No. So we dig our well before we're thirsty. Long answer to your question, but there's no substitute, not only for that close kitchen cabinet, but also a network, okay, of relationships.
Very good. We're going to take a break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay. He has written 7 New York Times bestseller books. His most recent one is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. You can also find out more about Harvey at his website, HarveyMackay.com. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to the Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay, author of 7 New York Times bestselling books. His most recent one is called You Haven't Reached Your Peak Yet, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. And you can find more about Harvey at his website, HarveyMackay.com. Welcome back to the show, Harvey. So what would you say would be the key to your business success?
To my business success? Well, obviously it's like looking at a statement and you're a financial guy. If you're losing money, you can't just say, hey, look, we got a problem here, cost of goods sold, and you're fixed the business. So myriad of reasons why I guess I've been successful. And I know this might sound extraordinarily corny, but I start out with, I wish I could write a separate book. If I could, it would last forever. I have had extremely, very, very good timing and very, very lucky throughout my career. People go around all their life and they say, hey, what should I buy? What should I sell? That's the wrong question. When should I buy and when should I sell? And you know, of course, with your background, timing is everything. So I've had a lot of lucky breaks. Just to show you what luck is, on a brief aside, just a couple seconds, after I wrote Swim with the Sharks, I got on the Larry King Show. Why? I was doing an ad. He was doing an ad. Same publisher had me on his show. You know, changed my Oprah called, then Good Morning America. Changed my whole life. If I don't have that ad, okay. If I don't have that same publisher, boom. So that's what I call luck and timing. But success, I would say one of my mantras and one of my philosophies is as follows. If I had to name number one, I think other than luck, I would go with this. There's a million words in the English language. You cannot be an entrepreneur, can't be a businessman, can't be a coach, can't be president of a university, doesn't matter what, can't be working for a big company with a reporting relationship that you have where 20, 30, 50, 100 people report to you. You cannot do any of those things unless you understand this one 5-letter word in the English language. What is it? H-I-R-E. Hire. If you can't hire, that's it. You can't be the president of the university. You can't be anything, as you well know. If I've got running a 2-person lemonade stand and I had to hire a 3rd person, biggest single decision I would make. So therefore, I've had coaches my entire life. I've had about 25 of them. I think right now I have still about 15 at this very minute. But I have a writing coach. I have a speech coach. I have a language coach. I study Russian, Chinese, Japanese, and Arabic. I've had a marathon coach, lucky enough to run Boston's and New York marathons. He was right there with me every step of the way. I have a memory coach out of New York. I have a social media coach. I have a golf coach. I have a tennis coach. I have a swimming coach. I have a dancing coach, thanks to my wife. On and on and on. Now, why do I have all these coaches? Because, one reason, okay, because if I've got all the potential I've got, whatever potential I do have, okay, whatever talent I do have, they will get it out of me without question, unequivocally. So I'll have a project, all right, I'll have a time and action calendar, when it's going to be completed, what I'm going to do, actions I'm going to take. Then I find the best brains in the country, if not the world, to assist me, all right, then I'll practice the right thing. I call it practice makes perfect. No, that's not true. Perfect practice makes perfect. So I'll have that, practice the right concepts, and then I don't worry about anything. Zero.
Yeah.
I have no worries. You know why? I leave it all out there in the field. That makes sense?
It does. So let's talk about networking, because obviously you've got these Rolodexes, you learned it from your father. How can people who don't have as big a network as you develop a network and how is that going to help them be successful to have a really good network?
Surely. Well, my experience again, that's what we're here. We're talking about my experiences, so I, kind of excuse using the word I, but I guess this is about me. But if I had the name, single characteristic shared by all the truly successful people that I've met over a lifetime, I would say it's the ability to create and nurture a network of relationships. Jordan, you can take all my money from me, all my factories from me, all my land, all my employees, but leave me my network of relationships, and I'll be back to where I was today in 3 to 5 years. Now, let's kind of explain and make it easy again for the listeners to start building that network. People think that you go to networking parties or networking conferences, exchange calling cards, and now you're building a network. Absolutely, totally untrue. If someone lived in, Minneapolis again, and I happen to be calling from, also lucky enough to be able to live in Arizona, and they happen to move to Arizona or Minneapolis, and they met me, they've got one friend, but they've got 15,000 contacts. I can reach approximately 5 to 10 million people in less than 72 hours. So they got one card, right, in their file, and yet they've got all of my contacts if we became good friends. So that's the first myth. You don't have to have 4, 5, 6, 700 cards in order to have a network and build it. Secondly, I wrote this book again called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. New York Times #1 bestseller. Very proud of that. It's in 200 universities. Chapter 1 for all the listeners, and I want them to answer to themselves, trustworthy and truly, okay? How many people can our listeners call up at 2 a.m. in the morning, say that they're in trouble, and have that person come, no matter where they are? They'll take off 2 a.m. in the morning, come and help them. How many can they do? Well, I've been asking that question, of course, for the last 10, 12, 15 years since I wrote the book. And I can tell you, average is medium, 5 or 4, half over, half under. Some people get to 10. Now, this sounds self-serving. This sounds very braggadocial. But because my father got a hold of me, I practiced the right concepts in this networking, I can call approximately about 50 people. And every listener out there, if they would have started at age 18 when I did, they'd be able to say exactly the same thing. So the network really solves a lot of problems, helps you become successful, helps you keep learning. Biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. You can always improve your network.
You were saying that timing is so important. You have to know when to buy and when to sell. So with what's going on right now with the economy contracting and everybody being laid off, what would be good to buy and what would be good to sell in today's world?
Well, I have to be very frank with you. You've been going to the office every single day, many years, and thousands of weeks and months, and I come in the same way, but my subject is different. Yes, what have I done all my life? I've had a nice successful run. Why? My network. Why? I don't make any decisions. I have people bring me the facts, and then, of course, they ultimately have to make the decision, but there's no way I would know as far as what the markets are, where they are in the world. I have a Japanese expert, for example. He's been with Merrill Lynch for 30 years, now running his own firm. Hey, he's had a brilliant record, and he does my Japanese securities, which is not very much, but it's a little bit, and I've been very successful. So I've never in my career given out any advice to anybody regarding money because that is not my field, even though most of my friends are in that field. So it goes back again, not to repeat myself, but it's the coaching and the advisors and counselors. And I think you would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Yes, indeed. You get the best with you and take their advice.
I always like to come to my money manager and I say, well, who's getting up first, the buyers or the sellers? and anyway, it's as you well know, it's the trickiest, the toughest industry in the world. The only thing I know is that if you go and have major surgery and it's lifetime, you're either going to lose your life or not lose your life. And Sloan Kettering says operate, and Mayo Clinic says don't operate. What are you going to do? Right? Big decision. Operate, no. You know what I've learned? I've learned this, Jordan. All I know is that I don't know. And so I then go to a third one. Okay, MD Anderson out of Houston, whatever. All right, am I going to have surgery or not? Now, if it's 2-to-1, that doesn't make any decision for me. So I've got two phenomenal firms, okay, hospitals, and one. That doesn't mean anything yet. So what have I done? I dig my well before I'm thirsty. I went out and got some medical people. I have my own little medical, conclave of people that I consult with. And so I want to know, I count one person on my one hand, one person for 50 years, Mayo Clinic graduate and all that, bright, genius, good judgment for me, for my family, and he makes the decision. That's what I've been doing. Doesn't matter if it's 4-to-1, because if that one person is right and the 4 are wrong, I may lose my life. Correct?
Correct. That's not a good idea. Very good. You take the advice from people who really know what they're doing. Very good. We're going to take another break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay. He's written several books, 7 best-selling books, actually. His latest one is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. You can find out more about him at his website, HarveyMackay.com. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to the Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to the Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay. He's the author of 7 best-selling books. His latest one is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet. You can find out more at his website, HarveyMackay.com. Welcome back to the show, Harvey.
Thank you. Nice to be with you. Great question.
Negotiation. Let's talk about negotiation. So a lot of people have a hard time getting to a yes, getting to it's a win-win relationship. What advice do you have on making for successful negotiations?
Well, it's very tough to be in business unless you know a little bit about negotiations. And, of course, that's something you're doing almost every single day. You're communicating, you're negotiating, no question about it. So in the book, I've got about, 30, 40, 50 aphorisms. I'm an aphorism junkie. I've got them pasted on my mirror. I've got them pasted on my car. Everything, everywhere. That's what I learned from my father again. So let me just give you a few of them that I think the people will be able to use tomorrow morning. I call it take-home value. And if they can listen and learn something right now this afternoon or tomorrow morning, whenever, and they can use it that day, then I think it's very practical, and the whole program was worth just that one idea. So first of all, number 1, paramount importance. You cannot negotiate anything unless you know the market. If you don't know what the market is, how can you won't recognize a good deal. If you have a son and he's a first-round draft choice in the NBA, and we're talking $25, $50, $75 million contract, and I'm a lawyer, guess what? I still don't know the market. So I will go out and get an agent because he's done 100 NBA players, okay, and I've never done one. So that's the reason why you need the good advice as well. And he'll be the one that can recognize a good deal. I've learned that, said this, I made up all these myself, but I said this on the fraternity floor 100 years ago. When a person with money meets a person with experience, person with money meets a person with experience, here's what happens. The person with the experience winds up with the money, and the person with the money winds up with the experience.
Yes, indeed.
My probably biggest favorite is if you can afford, underline afford, if you can afford to buy your way out of a problem, you don't have a problem. Anytime a problem comes up, every listener, the rest of their life should say, hey, I've got a problem. How much is it going to cost me to buy my way out? And can I afford it? And that has done very wonderful things for me over a period of a lifetime. Another one, and I guarantee it because people have written me now over the past 3 decades about this one. This is the one I get more letters on and everything. Thank you. You saved me $1 million, saved me $500,000, saved me $2 million, saved me $100,000. The letters just keep pouring in, and the emails, and that is as follows. The single biggest tool in any negotiation is the ability to get up and walk away from the table without a deal. You don't burn your bridges. If you burn your bridges, you better be a doggone good swimmer. But getting up, walking away from the table, unbelievable, Jordan, how many times that phone will ring over a period of weeks or months.
It gives you leverage that way, otherwise you might not have. Yeah.
Sure. Right. Another quickie is don't ever give anyone an ultimatum unless you mean it. That's all. If you have to have the deal, don't give an ultimatum unless you mean it.
Let's talk about another area, which is creativity. You think creativity is so important. What is there about creativity, and how do you sponsor it, or how do you get it to be in your staff to be creative?
Well, first of all, just to I guess under the covers is a myth again that just is absolutely, unequivocally, 100% wrong. Number one, there's no correlation between creativity, and intelligence. Every study known to mankind will tell you and prove to you, anyone can become creative. You're not born with creativity. I've never been a creative person, but then when I started reading about it, going around the creative people, which is another way you become creative, all of a sudden everything changes. So that's number one. Number two, I'm trying to think it was I'll probably come up with it, the American Marketing Association. They went out and asked 500 businesses, what do you have to be successful the next 5 years? And believe it or not, innovation and creativity. Now, get this. 83% said that. Creativity, and vision. Of the 83% said that, virtually all 83% said that their company's not doing a good job with it. So anyway, I could sit here and spend the whole hour talking about creative things I've done, creative things I've taught other people to do, thinking outside the box. When anything's been done the same way over a long period of time, sometimes it's a good sign it's being done the wrong way.
Yeah. You have created something called the Mackay 66. Explain what that is and how that can help people.
I wouldn't have 10 million books out. I guess we're nearing 12 now, and the books are still selling very, very well around the world. It's the number one reason. If you said, why did Swim with the Sharks make it? It would be one reason and one reason only, and that is called the Harvey Mackay 66 Question Customer Profile. When I was 21, I was selling envelopes, envelope manufacturer, one of the biggest in the United States. There were approximately maybe 30 salespeople on the sales force. It was a very fine company. And one day, I don't know, I just woke up and I said, boy, I'm calling on 300 buyers. I mentioned a few earlier companies, Pillsbury, General Mills, 3M, Honeywell, Cargill, on and on and on, Minnesota Twins, Minnesota Vikings. And I decided, my gosh, 300 buyers. If I could get to know these buyers, if I could go deep with these buyers, my probability would go way up that I will get the order. People don't care how much you know about them once they realize how much you care about them. And that's what I wrote. That's what I wrote in Swim with the Sharks. So I sat down and I wrote 66 questions, what I want to ultimately find out about every buyer that I call on, including the gatekeepers at the big companies. So if I'm going to call on you, Jordan, even before I get there, we don't have any cold calls. No such thing as a cold call. I want to know as much as I can about you. I want to know what high school you went to. I want to know what college. If you happen to be married, I want to know that. A little bit about the kids, a little bit about the spouse, where you take vacations. I want to know if you're a Democrat or Republican or independent. On and on and on. 66 questions. All right? I want to know what turns you on, turns you off. I want to know what your favorite sports are, if you have any. All of these things. And once I get that 66 filled out over a period of weeks or months, my probability that I will sell you goes almost up to 100%. I've been selling now 50-plus years. I can't remember, and I think most of our salespeople can tell you almost the same thing. They have never called on anybody they haven't sold. Never called on anybody they have never sold, ultimately.
Some people would say that's kind of old school, and that makes sense, but today, a lot of sales are done on the Internet, where you never get to talk to people. There's not a personal relationship. It's all done in a kind of an automated way. So does that still apply to buying and selling on the Internet?
That's a wonderful question to ask. I in those speeches, one a week for 30 years around the world, I will call on Internet companies that use the Internet for selling only. But they'll talk to them 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year. Every company is different. And they'll have a little screen up on their computer. And if you're a customer of mine, and we've talked 2, 3, 4 times, that's all, per year, over the phone, but you're buying stocks from me, whatever. Okay, I'll have my little computer right up in front of me. Before I call you, there I know everything about you at that particular time. And I'll say, hey, understand Mary graduated from college. Or what about Josie, make the volleyball team, whatever. And just those little things, just those little nuggets are enough to just tie us a little bit closer than the average person that doesn't know anything about you. And trust me, it works. The telephone and the Internet are powerful, powerful tools.
Let's talk a little bit about time management. A lot of people, right now, a lot of people have a lot of time because they're stuck at home, they're laid off, they're furloughed. How can people make better use of their time?
Well, I always add about 5, 6, 7 years to my life. When I was 30, I'd tell people I'm 35. When I was 50, I'd tell them I'm 55. My father, again, I have to go back to my father, sorry, but I lived with him for 5 years after losing my mother at age 49 to breast cancer. And so this is where I learned all my street smart things, and all my books deal with street smarts, which, again, I'm very proud of. But time management is so very important. My father just taught me trick after trick after trick. Just a couple of them example. I don't expect the listeners to do this, but this is what I'm doing all the time. And that is, I never park in a parking lot. I would go around in Minneapolis. I went to the 7 hotels that were scattered throughout St. Paul and Minneapolis. I talked to the doorman. I had a couple of Twins tickets. All of a sudden, I could do a favor for them, give them a book, whatever, and they would always take my car. Anytime, that's only a little thing, but boy, little things mean a lot. That's not true. Little things mean everything. And I go to the Symphony Ball, Chamber of Commerce. It saved me all kinds of time. This involves networking too, but I get there early, and I look at 1,000 people. I can't get around 1,000 people. Time management and all that, working in with my networking. So I'd get there and I'd memorize it. I'd take out a paper and pencil and I write down, Joe's sitting at this table. Jordan's sitting at this table. And then when there's breaks in the action, bingo, that's what I do. I walk around and see the people that I want to see and that I want to get to. This is very, very odd, I'm sorry, but I've done it for 60 years and my wife's done it for 60 years. And she has spent about, half a year already on this problem. She's always looking for her keys. We travel an enormous amount. Just canceled, in fact, because of the virus, a 10-country around the world trip that I was really looking forward to. But she's losing keys everywhere. She's losing things all the time. I just drop it on the floor. Anytime I'm leaving the house, drop it on the floor. Then I have to walk by it in order to get to the car. Walk in the hotel room, bingo, key goes right to the floor. All right? I never have to look at that, which is very, very, very good. And then on a time management standpoint, this is very important. Pale ink is better than the most retentive memory. Repeat, pale ink better than the most retentive memory. Okay? Write it down. Every single thing. If you've got a system, if you're writing everything down, you're not spending any time thinking about it. You're not forgetting anything. You got a sharp memory. And again, in the book, there are at least 25 different little things that add up to big things as far as time management goes. We all start out in life, Jordan, with one thing in common. We all have the same amount of time. Right. Now it's just a matter of what we do with it.
We're going to take another break. This is Jordan Goodman of the Money Answer Show. My guest this hour is Harvey Mackay. He's the author of several books. His latest book is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. You can also find out more about Harvey at his website, HarveyMackay.com. We'll be back after this.
You've been listening to The Money Answer Show with Jordan Goodman. If you have a question for Jordan or his guest, please call us now at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now back to Jordan.
Welcome back to The Money Answer Show. This is Jordan Goodman, your host. My guest this hour, Harvey Mackay, author of several best-selling books. His latest book is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet. You can find out more at his website, HarveyMackay.com. Welcome back to the show, Harvey.
Thank you very much. If I can take 60 to 70 seconds, I have an offer to give to your listeners, and I think I didn't talk to you about it, but I can promise you it's a lot of value received. So if I may, is that okay to go ahead with that?
Make sure absolutely, go ahead with it. Go ahead with it, yes.
Okay, fine. Well, okay, we all know, of course, again, no one's insulated. Everybody's been affected by that corona disease. And I've been thinking, how can I give back? How can I give back to all the people that are shut in? How can I give back to the people that are really truly have, worries, lost a lot of money in the market, whatever it is. So this is a good time that they can increase their education. You don't go to school once for a lifetime. You're in school all of your life. And early in the program, I said, again, how important it is, that the memory and the learning and continuing learning is just so vitally important. So here we go. About 2-3 years ago, I started a new company, and it was a round table called Harvey Mackay Round Table. I went out because I know something about hiring, and I recruited 30 people, 19 men, trying to get this in too fast, 19 men and 11 women. And that was the Mackay Round Table. They were running companies from $2 million, $1 to $2 million companies, to $300 million companies. They all wanted to take their business to the next level. We met 6 times the first year, 6 times the second year. What were the subjects? Sales, and this is professionally mentoring now. I charge them. Sales, marketing, entrepreneurship, leadership, negotiations, hiring, firing, time management, creativity, networking, just to name a few. I brought in the best minds in the world on those subjects. John Maxwell on leadership, written 50 books. Ken Blanchard's written 90 books. Lou Holtz, one of the best coaches ever lived. College football. They all came in, gave seminars. And I charged these people, this is 6 meetings, times 2 is 12 meetings, over 2 years, 2-day meetings. I charged them $150,000. Okay? Not only that, but all you do is listen to Lou Holtz, you listen to me, whomever you listen to, just click on your computer, 40 pages will spit out the whole thing, okay, the entire university, okay, you have copies of. It's in writing. You can mark them up. So right. That's one given. Number 2, and I'm almost done.
How do they get to that, Harvey? How do they find that?
I'm going to tell you right this minute.
Okay.
Right this minute. And not only that, but listen to this. You can give it to your spouse, give it to your family, give it to your customers. You can give it to anybody, okay, that you want to. And I've only done this once in my life. 60 years, I've never given this away. Only once. So, but I do respect your program and your audience. You go to Harvey, hold on now. What you have to do, you go to HarveyMackayCoaching.com. Harvey Mackay, Mackay, all one word, coaching.com. You fill out a form, and a consultant will call, okay, call you. All you have to do is spend 30 minutes with them. You do not have to buy one single thing. They'll just tell you about my coaching program. Thank you very much. Not interested. And then you automatically will receive my Harvey Mackay Academy. That's what it's called. You'll fill out a form. It'll come to you, give it anywhere from, because it's worldwide audience, 5 days to, I suppose, 20 days. And you have forever 150 hours of learning. And believe
Fantastic.
me, it can
So
change
just to
your
go over
life.
that again,
How to
if
get
you
a
go
job,
to HarveyMackayCoaching.com, fill out the form, you'll do a consultation, and then you'll get the 150 hours of learning, right?
Exactly.
Excellent.
You do not have to buy the coaching at all. That's all. But
Right.
they'll have everything else, and it's all free. And trust me, it'll change your life. 3 things. You got to be a hungry fighter, hungry fighter, hungry fighter, and then biggest room in the world, room for improvement. If you do that, I guarantee that your income will double over a period of a lifetime. Guaranteed.
Excellent.
And many
Appreciate
times,
that.
3, 4, 5 times.
Appreciate that offer very much, Harvey. I hope a lot of our people take advantage of it. Again,
And
go to
Jordan,
HarveyMackayCoaching.com and fill out the form. Okay?
Yeah, Jordan, everything I've talked to you about is all the things. They have 150 hours of subjects and talking and answers like this, like we've done the last 45, 55 minutes.
Terrific. Let me just go through some of your favorite people and some of the things you've learned from them. You talked about Lou Holtz, the Notre Dame coach. What are some of the things you've learned from Lou Holtz?
Well, my father taught me, and I learned it even better from Lou Holtz. We're joined at the hip. Hall of Fame coach, Notre Dame, 11 years, without question, one of the greatest coaches ever lived. And he took it to a different level. And that is, hi, Jordan. Hi, Harvey. Right to my brain bank. What can I do for Jordan? How can I add value to his life or to whomever I'm talking to? How can I add value to her life? And that's what I learned from my father. Now, Lou Holtz taught me one more thing. You expect nothing in return. Wow. And that's how he lives his life. I guarantee every single person out there, guarantee you, if you ever meet a Lou Holtz anywhere, in any city, when he says goodbye, here's what he'll say. If I can ever do anything for you, if I can ever help you out, you call me. But he means it. He means it. Go right ahead. Next.
Another one would be Jack Kemp. What did you learn from Jack Kemp?
If I had to name my top 10 stories, this might be it. I'll keep it very, very short. Jack Kemp was ran for vice president of the United States Congress 20 years, and he was a very, very close friend. When he's running for president, vice president, we were up in the air in his plane, and he told me this story. He was a superstar quarterback in high school, total failure, freshman, sophomore, junior year. Coach calls him in. Last year, senior year, closes the door. You're my man. You're the guy you can count on. You're going to be my leader. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell your teammates. I believe on you. That's the reason why I called you in here. You can take us all the way. Kemp told me he came out of that meeting flying. And, of course, he made All-American and technically All-American, I think it was. And it was just unbelievable. Then he told me 2 weeks after the last game, he found out the coach called in the other starters and told them the same thing. So that just shows you, it shows you what confidence is. And, of course, I tell that story in the book. Very good.
We have about 2 minutes to go. Just kind of sum this up. What kind of a difference will it make in people's lives if they follow the advice you've had in all your books, particularly though you haven't hit your peak yet?
Well, in hitting your peak, first of all, let me explain that, a lot of people don't hit their peak until 65, 70, 75, but it's also, it's a different thing. It can be about happiness when you're hitting your peak. It can be financial independence again, starting a successful business, having a baby. So hitting your peak is different strokes for different folks. But I think over a period of a lifetime, here's what really counts. We're not talking, even my Mackay Roundtable, Harvey Mackay Academy, we're not talking money here. We're talking happiness. We're talking peace of mind. Oh, we're absolutely talking money. But money is only one of the areas that you're going to be happy with if you follow and do the right thing. I repeat, practice makes perfect. Not true. have to add one word: perfect. Practice makes perfect. So practice these right concepts that we've been talking about. You want peace of mind. You want good health. Remember, again, the Harvard study. All these different things are what I call take-home value. You can use almost everything I've said the last hour, and I think you'll get good results over a long period of time.
Well, thanks so much. We've learned an awful lot from Harvey Mackay. Again, he's the author of several books. His latest one is called You Haven't Hit Your Peak Yet, Uncommon Wisdom for Unleashing Your Full Potential. You can find out more about him at his website, HarveyMackay.com. And again, he has a special offer for our listeners. Go to HarveyMackayCoaching.com, fill out the form, and you'll get the 150 hours for free for his Harvey Mackay Academy. Thanks so much, Harvey. And we'll be back next week with another edition of the Money Answer Show. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for joining Jordan Goodman and the Money Answer Show. If you have a question for Jordan, please visit his website at www.moneyanswers.com. And be sure to tune in every Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here on Voice America Business. See you next week.